black person, you do your own research and you go over and you talk to a lot of people on the right, and you find a lot of them are like, look, we're not trying to kill nobody. We think that they're the ones who dislike you the most. In fact, we're not even thinking about you like that. We're thinking about these other issues. And if you agree with us, then you're welcome as well. What has been your experience? Because there's so many black people who are afraid to talk to people on the right because they're told that there's nothing but racism over there. And that's just weird and offensive and strange. And it's a type of slavery where they're like, don't even talk to them. That happened a lot during like, when you had the stuff going on in 2020, the Black Lives Matter stuff. I remember a black man was talking to a black police officer, and the white liberal lady came up and said, you shouldn't be talking to him. It was something crazy like that. And he was like, who the hell are you to tell me which black people I can talk to? So tell me about that experience and what some of the misconceptions are about how, the right is completely racist when it comes to guns and all that.
I can give historical examples and I'll give you my anecdotal experience, right? When we bought the RV, I had never driven an RV before. It's a 37-foot Class A, which means it's like its own thing, right? And we drove it, and we were going to, we went down all the way to Georgia. And I wound up being in an RV for about 2 months. And we were going into an event in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was a CPAC event. And I had never in my life been to a campground, none of that. And so we pull into the campground because I didn't know how to put water in the joint. I didn't know anything. I just bought it. And I bought it because I kept getting kicked off of planes for not wearing a mask. And they'll do this weird thing where you think you got off, you get off the plane, you don't cause a ruckus, but you get off the plane, they ping your name based on your seat. And then when I want to go buy another ticket, they'll let me buy the ticket and I'll get to the airline. And they like, no, sir, you can't fly for however many. So that kept happening to me. That happened to me on Delta and maybe America. I can't remember. But anyway, so we get the RV. We drive in the RV. We're going to that place. And I got to go into this place where I'm like, I need to fill up on water. And they, some of the people are like, you got to find somewhere because we're going into our cold season. And a lot of the campground sites turn so the pipes won't freeze. They turn the water off so you got to already have your water. Anyway, we pull up and these two guys are like, ask the camp manager. He's down there. And I see him. He looks like the stereotype. Every movie, this is the white guy that's going to be the racist. And he looks like that dude. And I'm like, here I come pulling up in the $200,000 RV. He probably hating. He looks like, and I tell him, I said, hey, listen, man. He said, well, listen, our water's closed for the season. I said, damn, somebody was telling me. He's like, but you know what? Pull up over there and I'm going to get you straight. And I said, all right. And it was his house, it's a campground, but they have like small houses or whatever too. You can pull your RV next to him or whatever. And he does that and he starts giving me his water. Water is life.
Wow.
He just starts giving me all of the water. And I'm like, that's the tank is 75 gallons, but 50's cool. We're going to be very sparse. And he's like, nah, let me fill you up. He was like, this is your first RV, isn't it? I said, it absolutely is. He was like, man, you went with a good one. You went with a Class A for a first timer. He was like, you're about to learn a lot. This dude showed me how to change the water, drop the tank. I did not know how to do anything. Now, let me be very clear. This is not this don't make up for slavery. This don't end poverty, right? Like, let me be very clear because I don't want nobody to get me fucked up and thinking like it's going to be like this the tap dance-a-thon because that's not what it is. But it's just an honest observation of the kind of person that I see in the campground world, the RV world, the Second Amendment world, and sometimes in the Republican world. And it's the exact opposite. And I remember leaving that situation thinking, damn, bro, I did to him what a lot of black men don't like when we get done to us. On some I stereotype main man, like all right, he gonna say something smart. We're gonna have like I had already came into it with that preconceived notion, and I was wrong. Now, why am I saying that? I be in all of them rooms a lot because it's a gun community room, it's a liberty room, it's a like the feeling of F the government has largely, by and large, been beaten out. I'm talking about actively going out to say we are in opposition to this. A lot of that has actively been masqueraded, beaten, massaged out of Black communities. A lot. But them dudes are like, whatever you need. I can't lead your people the way that you lead them because they ain't gonna listen to me because I'm not the right color. I've had them white boys tell me that. And then they'll be like, yo, Maj, if you need a space to train your folks, we got a compound and it's 100 acres if you want to bring them up. Now, this is what America, the power dynamic in America is really, really afraid of. They're definitely afraid of Black people just unifying by themselves. That's horribly evident. But I think it gets you on a list and potentially get your top blown off when you start galvanizing Black people and white people. That's what happened to Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton was like, yo, we are working class people fighting against people that are trying to stop us. That happened in Virginia years ago. It's called Bacon's Rebellion, where the governor, the white governor, tried to trick the white people that he was giving crumbs to be against the Black people. And the Black people and the white people worked together and they burned down the governor's mansion in Virginia. That is a true story. Bacon's Rebellion. So my point in saying this is my experience, the people that are at the events, like at CPAC, the rank and file people, they about the Constitution and freedom and fighting against tyranny, by and large. The goofballs that are like the pundits, they're clowns, right? Brandon Tatum, he's Black, allegedly, but he's a clown. Matt Walsh, clown, authoritarian. They just say things that are like conservative catchphrases, right? You know, there's a bunch of people like they aren't really anti the government. The founders of America were very much so. We don't rock with government. Very much so. They were very much like, we have guns. We do not want a limited. We want a limited government, and we do not want a freestanding army. A freestanding army is what the police are now in most cities. It's just what it is. Like, I think the New York Police Department has 6,000 armed police officers, and I might be lowballing that number. That is a standing army, that by definition, a standing army. And so what I've experienced is them rank and file dudes that got their ways with them. Yeah, they shoot, they hunt, they whatever, but they like, nah, it ain't me versus you. The media, especially like legacy media, leftist media, they do a very good job of making them dudes, and they make them dudes look like that because them dudes are just to themselves and like, yo, I'm in Montana, I'm just hunting and chilling, right? The media makes those people look like the opposition, in my experience, because the media don't want us working together. There's a great book called, a book, and it became a movie called The Spook Who Sat by the Door, where the brother went to the CIA and learned all of this information and came back to Chicago, and he was tap dancing, acting like he was this, and they put him in the paper room, and there was some thing came down with they had to hire people at the CIA. Oh, okay, I did lowball it. NYPD has approximately 36,000 sworn officers. 36,000. So I said 6,000. 36,000. That's a standing army. But in the movie, he came back and he trained folks with the information that he learned over there. My point in saying this is those folks are doing their own thing, and it's easy for media to paint them as another thing. And if you don't ever go over there and see, like I go wherever I want to go. Ain't nobody gonna tell me I can't. I go wherever I want to go. If I want to go to the Republican National Convention, I'm going. If I want to go to the Independent National Convention, I'm going. If I want to go to ain't nobody gonna check me. I'm Black and I'm a man. Like, what you gonna do to me? It's nothing you're gonna do to me. So when you have that mentality, you just go in the rooms and you be surprised how many of them people is like, bro, your folks won't listen to me, but here's some stuff like these SIRT pistols, right? This is not a real firearm. This is plastic. Okay. This is what we train our beginning students with, right? Next level training gave me 100 of those. They're $300 a piece retail.
Wow.
They gave them to me. Yo, Maj, you're doing the work. Here. Like, I got 5 of them. I'm looking at 5 of them right now. Here go 2 of them right here. My point is, they know, in my experience, they know our fates are intertwined. They know it. Mm-hmm. And they so in the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't mention slavery, doesn't mention race. And they like, look, that don't say nothing that's okay to do that to them black people in the Constitution. But the media is just very good. And again, I'm not saying like, oh, go be a Republican tomorrow, or there's no racism over there. That's like, come on, like I'm not stupid. However, what they being portrayed as, they doing the unseen hand. The unseen hand is doing the same thing to some of them that it do to us. Mm-hmm. You know, all of them is bad, right? The media is, and in my experience, is people and organizations or media outlets on the left. In my experience, do I think it's some goofballs that they let speak for them that they shouldn't? Absolutely. Charlie Kirk, Matt Walsh, they shouldn't be talking about anything black related. They're clowns. And I know I've met these people. I got pictures with them. Matt Walsh made a whole video about how I'm wrong and shit. Like, I'm not tripping about that. These people, how you should judge them is based on, do they support organizations doing the work in the community, or are they doing work in the communities that they're critiquing? If I'm going to accept the critique, I know Angela Stanton King. Angela Stanton King has a whole entire facility for women that are pregnant and don't want to get an abortion, but it might be looking like they're getting an abortion. She houses those folks. Trump gave her a presidential pardon. She had Fed charges. Trump gave her a pardon. So, like, the story is too contextual for how certain media outlets is trying to play it. And unfortunately, if you only get your media from one particular outlet, you're going to fall.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know, you're right. And shout out to Angela Stanton King in Angie's house. You know, the same way I support what you do. I support Angie's house regularly because they wanted to abort me, right? So I was like, I take that personally that y'all didn't want me to be here. So now I'm really gonna be here. And so I give her a shout out every chance I can, because you are right. There's a difference between the people that are doing the work and the ones that are not. And what I've also noticed is that even amongst my friends on the right, there is like a little bit of a revolt going on between, black folks that do live on the right versus the overseers and the media class and the people that are just stirring stuff up, talking down on black folks, don't have any solutions, right? And sort of going with that same old narrative where the Democrats have you on the plantation, so you need to become a Republican. But it's like, okay, and what? Are you going to support reparations? Are you going to support something that's going to help us solve the problem? Or are you going to simply put your finger on the wound so we yell and scream and we are triggered into becoming a part of whatever circus you got going on? Because I think at the end of the day, there's so many different people trying to use us at all times, right? And one of the reasons I like you is I actually had, man, you don't even know, bro. I went to the gym this morning. I had your shirt on, freedom over everything. I had that shirt on, man. And I actually, to tell you how ratchet I am, I actually had it on the night before because you go to my channel, you go to drboycetv.com right now. I was playing Call of Duty with my homeboys, and I had on my shirt, and people were like, man, Doc, that's a nice shirt, Yeah. So anyway, long story short, it's like, you believe in freedom, right? And that to me is simple. It's a very simple solution. It's like, think for yourself, do what works best for you, because what you've been able to identify very accurately is how both sides will try to use you if they can. Like if they could bring you in as some typical stooge of a black man where they say, oh, he's a black Republican like us. He's also a Trump. So you pretty much said, no, that's not what I'm here for. But what you did that I thought was also beneficial is you're telling the truth. You're honest. You're like, look, I met a hillbilly country boy, from the backwoods of Alabama, and he treated me better than some of the black people I know. And that's the reality, man. I grew up in the South. Like, I know these stereotypical scary hillbillies. I'm from Kentucky, man. I went to school with them. Some of them are ignorant, right? Just like some black people are ignorant, but some of them are just regular people living their lives, and they're human beings first. And what the politicization, whatever you want to call it, of all this does is it takes away the humanity of all people. Like if I see you as a human being and you see me as a human being, we realize, okay, we both fathers, we're both, trying to make a couple dollars, we're trying to, be safe and secure and all that. But when you get to the politics, it's like all those people are, all the all the liberals are child molesters, and all the Republicans are racist, and it becomes this big bullshit that really is destroying the country, man. I want to ask you this last question before I let you get out. And I'm gonna put that, by the way, I'm putting this URL for Maj down here. If anybody sees it, in case you're listening, I'm going to say it. It's givesendgo.com/solutionary. So you can, I encourage you to support. If you can't support, reach out, find something that you can do to help. He's doing good work, and I really like it. So I want to give him that endorsement. But with that said, man, I want to ask you about this. So that idea of black people having firearms, you mentioned something that was really interesting to me earlier when you said that a lot of times the cities with the worst violence have the strongest gun control laws.
Yeah.
Right. And that's frustrating. It's almost like a reminder of how, if you go to most of these failing schools, where black kids can't even read, write, or do math, a lot of these schools are run by the people that are supposed to be our friends. How the fuck are you my friend if my kid can't read and coming out of your school, right? How are you my friend when the people in the black neighborhoods of Chicago are getting shot up at, and the people in the white neighborhoods somehow miraculously end up safe, and you won't put any resources to solve the problem? Tell me more about that in terms of how you feel that your perspective on guns could benefit those who live in those dangerous cities where they're afraid for their lives.
I got a book right there. Let me grab it. This book is written by Dr. John Locke.
Wow, more guns, less crime. Okay.
He's a doctor that that book's like 30 years old. He's been doing this work for 3, maybe now going on 4 decades, and chronicling the areas that have the most crime as it relates to firearms and violent crime, have the most strict gun control rules. So, for example, the state that is the state in America that has the most gun control laws is California. California leads the league in mass shootings.
Wow.
Since 1990, when it became in law in 1991 under the Clinton regime, in 1990, Joe Biden created gun-free zones. That was his legislation. Gun-free zones are a creation of Joe Biden and other co-authors of that bill. 90, it was presented. 91, it became law. Since 1991, over 90% of mass shootings are in gun-free zones. So you almost are like saying, hey, come in here. There's no one that can defend the people in here. And if I'm the bad guy, I don't generally go to places that are what's called a hard target. I don't go to a hard target. I go to a place that's called a soft target. Where can I get in? Where can I do the most damage? And where can I not get killed? So you got the Buffalo shooter a few years ago. Specifically wrote in his manifesto, I'm going to Buffalo. I'm going to this black neighborhood. I'm going to shoot this grocery store up because it's a bunch of black people that I don't like. And I know that they don't have guns in there. They can't shoot back. I say all the time, I work out, I'm strong, I'm in great shape, I can fight. I will eat your face off if that's what needs to be for me to get back to my family. I will scoop your eyeballs out with a spoon and I will have a snack. And when I say all of this stuff on the internet, when people disagree with me and all of this other thing, I say my exact location is such and such. Magically, nobody ever shows up because they know I will eat you. I will eat you, and they know I'm armed. And I don't care about the gun control law. I don't care. I do not care. It's not the supreme law of the land. So as opposed to someone that bullies know to pick on people that don't really want it. That's why if you don't really want it, the best thing that you should do is learn how to fight and defend yourself. Because bullies only pick on the people that don't really want it. If I show up and smack a bully in his mouth in front of everybody, they're not going to do nothing. And if they do something, cool. fight, and you just probably won't be a bully no more. That's it. So the concept, the human psychology of I'm going to go to a place to murder people where there's nobody that can murder me is exactly what happens. That shooting that just happened not long ago, a school, you didn't hear about it anymore because a school resource officer, an armed school resource officer, the 14-year-old boy, I forget which, it was right outside of Atlanta. The school resource officer was armed. And you heard about it that one day, and you didn't hear about it no more because now there literally was a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun. Here's the other crazy data point about that. On average, annually, there's about 30,000 deaths associated with firearms in America. Annually, 30,000 deaths. 60% are suicides. 60% are suicides. So now you got to contend with the remaining 40%. Let's just cut it down. Let's say it's only half. Let's say it's only 50%. It's not, but for math's sake, let's say it's 60%. Excuse me, 50%. That's 15,000 deaths annually. First, there's over 300 million firearms in America. There's over 300 million firearms in America. Well over. 15,000, and we're not even going to go into the statistics of it might be the good guy shooting the bad guy with the gun, because they count those all as the same. But we're going to keep that whole 15,000 in the same perspective. Annually, on the lowest years, it's in his book. It's in his newer books too. Annually, on a light year, there are at least 300,000 defensive gun usages, which means 300,000 times a year, somebody presents a firearm, most of them non-lethal. 300,000 times a year, somebody produces a firearm and stops crime, minimum. Some years it has been up to 5 million. 5 million. So the areas that have the racist practice of gun control, which literally was started. It was, everybody talks about the Panthers in 68, but that started way before the Panthers in 68. The Mulford Act in 68 is how we got the Gun Control Act, because that was the time. The Gun Control Act is the act that it was named under in 1968, because 63 to 68 was a very tumultuous time in America. Black people were saying, I'm black and I'm proud. I want what's mine. I want this. They started shooting our leaders. Malcolm got murdered. Martin, Dr. King got murdered. JFK, who was extending an olive branch to the black folks, was like, no, the government is corrupt. That's one of his last speeches. The government is corrupt. He was working with the black folks. All three of them people that I just named got murdered. Then they doubled down and shot his brother, who was trying to keep that hope alive, who is RFK Jr.'s son and uncle. My point is, gun control, the Gun Control Act came out of that. And that was Republican-led. Ronald Reagan co-signed on that. So we can't pretend like it's Republicans that ain't rhinos, Republicans in name only. A Republican is supposed to be lockstep with the Constitution. So all of the data is clear for over 40, 50 years. Areas that have more violent crime are areas that have more of the unconstitutional and racist practice of gun control. Our work at Black Guns Matter, we're cited in the Supreme Court decision, the most impactful overturning of, maybe it might even like compete with Roe versus Wade being overturned. It's called the Bruin decision. It was overturned by the Supreme Court in 2022. We're cited in that. Talking about the racist history of gun control, no. Any law now, since that decision in 2022 in the state of New York, of all places, which is very anti-gun, any law that is being presented, or even if it's on the books, it can be challenged and it can be overturned if it does not stand in consistent history with the tradition of what the Second Amendment meant historically. So if you can say, oh, this is about safety, we want to put this gun law, this 10 round ammunition limit on your gun, you now have to prove that. How is that constitutionally consistent over time? So it was always about racism. They changed how they present it now, but it's still, the outcome is still the same, and it's still unconstitutional. And the data, not just my feelings and the anecdotal historical context, the data shows it. The data is clear that if you name a place culturally, you're not robbing nobody in Texas. You know not to. You know not to. But in
Well,
Chicago,
yeah. Well, that's a good point, man. And I'm glad you bring your perspective because I feel like people need to hear it. And as everybody knows who's listening, I don't tell you what to think. I just want you to think. I just tell you not think. How about that? So speaking of thinkers, this is Maj Toure from Black Guns Matter. And I want to say thank you, brother, for coming in. I'm going to share the URL where people can go and support. Just so you know, while we were talking, YouTube sent me a notice saying they were taking down our video for violating their terms of service, and I think it was because of that toy gun. So I did file an appeal, and I told them, I told them, hey, look, it was a fake gun. He mentioned that it was a toy gun. So hopefully they'll listen. YouTube is actually more responsive. Facebook is terrible, but YouTube, they actually will get back to you. So let's see how that goes. But either way, though, I mean, I always knew, especially during the pandemic, that time I think you and RZA were on at the same time, and I remember thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna lose all my channels and shit. But I was like, well, whatever. I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is when you prove, you show what you made of. So I was like, you know what, I'm not backing up. I didn't flinch at all. It was like, no, we got to talk about this, because that's when we're having those hard conversations about the jabs and all that. And it's and I learned a lot during the pandemic about authoritarian power, which is why I respect what you do. So God bless you, brother. It's great to have you in here, man. And everybody go support. If you see what's going on here and you want to learn more, you want to get involved, Maj is the guy that can show you about guns. You can see he's very passionate about it. He knows what the hell he's talking about, and he's for our people. And he's also working with a lot of people. And I think that's how you want to get things done. So the URL, I'm going to say it out loud. It's givesendgo.com/solutionary. That's givesendgo.com/solutionary. And also those of you that are listening on Spotify or not, just know this podcast is also on Spotify. And also, Maj, do you have like a Instagram or something people can follow or anything like that?
Yeah, everybody can follow. If you're on X, I'm migrating into calling it X now. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that yet.
Twitter, X.
Twitter, Maj Toure 999, MAJTOURE, and the number 9 3 times. Maj Toure 999. That's on Twitter or X. On Instagram, it's just Big Daddy Toure, BIGDADDYTOURE. And if you guys want to email me, if you want to DM me, it's just my name, MajToure@gmail. And donate, guys. We need all of the help. If we can get, first of all, it's very difficult to fundraise while doing the classes. So if guys can donate, man, please, guys, if you can swing it, donate at the $99 or $100 level. Get access to all of the classes, because in that way, again, you're paying it forward for somebody else, and you're getting some value for it. But if you can't swing the $100, that's cool. Just donate at whatever level you can. And if you can also, if you know a small business or a person or an organization doing some good community work in your neck of the woods, when you donate, there's a donor comment section. Give those people a shout out, man. Give them a shout out, so it almost becomes a Rolodex of businesses. As people scroll, they can see interesting businesses and their website and stuff like that. So follow me on all of those places, guys. Donate at whatever level you can. And if you're just going through something, and because like we said, 60% of those deaths are suicides. If you're going something, man, just email me. Send me your phone number. I'll talk to you. I'd rather hear through what you're going through with your crazy baby mom or whatever you got going on. I'd rather listen to that than read your obituary. So we need more warriors. Email me. I'm super not Hollywood. And I hope that everyone got something from the class. And make sure you are supporting the Black Business School. Make sure you're supporting Dr. Boyce Watkins. Make sure you want to learn about stock. What is it? Buymyfirststock.com or something like that, Doctor?
Well, it was firstsharestock.com.
Okay.
But people can just follow me, Dr. Boyce Money. There'll be I'll put a bunch of stuff up there too. So thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. It was great to see you, man. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And I would say I apologize to the people that were watching. I had one channel. I was broadcasting on 2 channels. So one of them kept going. The other, and my Twitter kept going. But the other one it just said this video was removed for violation. So I sent the appeal. I'll let you know how it works out, brother. Okay. But either way, man, it was great to see you, man. And you take good care of yourself. And God bless everybody. Y'all have a good day now. All right.
Thanks, Kyle.
Peace out. All right, man. Great job.